Well, Professor Meguro, I wonder, I mean, like, as you said, there is structured components in disaster management, 7 components to be precise. But I wonder if there could be any primary differences for those components, which to focus on or which not to focus on, or which is practically possible to focus on and practically not possible to focus on when it comes to developed countries where, this has been quite been taken care of in countries like Japan, and versus countries like Nepal. I mean, like, what would be the primary differences in terms of the structures of the countries and the societies?
I think the basic philosophy is common.
Okay.
Any countermeasure should be local available, local applicable, local acceptable. Otherwise, people do not use. For example, retrofitting method. If you propose some method that is so sophisticated, but if people do not use, then again that cannot be a solution. The material also, materials needed for your proposed method, that material should be local available, and also that method should be local acceptable. There are mainly 2 aspects, technical one and social one. We should combine these 2 and implement the safer built environment. We already have developed very cheap, very simple, very acceptable technology, and also we have proposed several promotion system of retrofitting of structures. By combining these 2, all the stakeholders, house owner, local and national governments, or some masons, or some insurance industry, those all stakeholders can get the great benefit. Without preparing such circumstances, it is very difficult for the people to do something.
Sure. Ramesh, that brings me to a question where I would like to ask you that, we have so much of experiences, so much of knowledge from different countries, from experts from different countries and experiences from different countries. And even with all those experiences and knowledge, why do we kind of feel that we are not doing good enough for this mitigation or disaster management as such in our country? And like, what has been the constants for us to take concrete steps towards this?
Yeah, so another very important point is the disaster risk management is taken as a separate issue than the day-to-day development or day-to-day activities of the people. By that way we cannot do, even if we have the very good technology and the systems, it's impossible, because somebody continue building poor structures and other people, the disaster risk management people, continue retrofitting that. It's impossible. So it has to be the day-to-day affairs, day-to-day activity of all the development related activities. If the Ministry of Physical Planning and Works is constructing hospital, they have to consider earthquake safety. If somebody is constructing schools, they have to consider. If somebody is constructing bridge, they have to consider, as far as the infrastructure is concerned. As far as the planning is concerned, the periodic plan of the municipality should consider the disaster risk management as a cross-cutting issue, as one issue. That part we have not been able to do so far. We have done several pilots, small initiatives, workshops, or sometimes demonstration projects, but that's not enough. In terms of the scaling of all these initiatives, we need a system which ensures that all of our development activities actually consider disaster safety, disaster management.
So Ramesh, then how much how much does it come this question brings me to the fact that is it in our culture, or is it the lack of commitment from the policy level or the political level? I mean, like, how much contribution does the culture have in it, and how much contribution does the political commitment have in this situation?
I don't know the exact percentage, but it has to be combined both the awareness of the people, which is, as Professor Meguro mentioned, that the imagination capacity of the people as well as the senior government officers is very important, and that imagination comes from the awareness. That's what we have been doing together with even the image channel. So the awareness should be there, that's one. But ultimately, if there is awareness, if there is technology, and then to have that at a larger scale, it has to be the policy of the government also. And for that matter, we lack in comparison to other countries like the India or Pakistan or Sri Lanka and others. They do have a good system that's who can coordinate with different ministries for their respective works to include disaster management as a part of their day-to-day activities. But in our case, it's lacking. We don't have a system that can ensure that all the government mechanisms or the any other day-to-day activities consider disaster safety.
Sure. Well, Professor Meguro, I mean, like Ramesh ji suggested, that there are like huge gaps for this disaster management in Nepal. How, in your opinion, personal opinion, how do you see it? I mean, like, is there a possibility that we can really, progress in this side with leaps and bounds in days to come if we all get together and do something about it? I'm like, what should be our way forward to meet those gaps, address those issues?
I think that the first, you had better have some organization who can connect all the important organizations in terms of from the viewpoint of the disaster management. That is first. And the second one is from the bottom level to the top. You should increase the disaster imagination capacity. That is the education. That is quite important, because the disaster countermeasures cannot be functional just the short one peak. We should continue. So it means from the young generation, young age, people can get the good knowledge and collect information. It will affect a lot. So we keep educating.
Sure.
Then later, the cumulative effects will be coming and will change the society.
Sure. Professor Meguro, when you talked about this organization, the organization that connects all these groups into one, or acts as a liaison between these things, what kind of organizations are you indicating? I mean, like, should it be a public sector organization, a committee under the highest political leadership, or a civil society organization, or what kind of organizations are you indicating?
I think the very most efficient one is the governmental one. You have many departments, organizations. If you have some special organization that can connect, then it affects a lot. But of course, from the different level, if you have the similar functions, then that will help a lot. But this is quite important.
Sure. Ramesh, I would actually like to forward the same question to you. I mean, like, with your experience, I'm like being a Nepali yourself, what do you think, like, what kind of organization would work for us?
That's very simple, sir.
Yeah.
If, for example, any one department or one division of one ministry request other ministry, then it's very difficult for them to follow because of the hierarchy and so many other things. So it may not be a very big organizations. Coordinating organizations who can coordinate all the ministries and department is very much essential. And I cannot say exactly what should be that organizations, but looking the experience of India or the Pakistan, they generally have the disaster management authority just directly under the prime minister level or the head of the state level, who can coordinate different ministries and departments very easily. So we feel that will be the ideal in our case also.
Sure. Do you think that we have enough policies in place as far as policies or code of conducts are concerned, or do we need to amend them, or do we need to bring about new policies to improve in this sector?
Definitely we need the new one, because as I mentioned, in terms of the policy also, so far the policy is focused more to the relief and response. So there is nothing mentioned that what we should do beforehand. So definitely we need the policy who clearly gives the roles and responsibilities of different organizations before and also the after.
Professor Meguro, you
Yes.
talked about the imagination of people. I mean, unless they imagine the threats from this, they were probably never going to act upon it. But somehow, the imagination or the threat platform often seems to counter-attack the activities that are often geared towards, giving them that threat or negative vibes of the event, and doesn't necessarily work in the positive lines quite often. When you talk about imagination of the people, then what is the kind of imagination, or what is the kind of message you think should be going out to public for their consciousness?
I actually have developed some educational material to increase disaster imagination capacity. Without recognition, we are moving along every day with a different caps, different laws. And when sometime, you feel the very strong emotion, what really happened around you as time goes? Can you say what really happened? That is the important question. Considering the location, considering the weather condition, season, considering where your cloth at that moment, shoes, to increase the disaster imagination, to make the practice, to think always, when I feel earthquake shaking here, what happened? So please put your daily life movement, actions from the morning to the midnight, and ask, if you do this, if you feel the strong motion, what really happened around you, up to 30 seconds, up to 1 minute, 2 minutes, 3 minutes, up to, for example, 5 years, 10 years, in different situation. It is very tough to write one by one. Many people cannot write anything. It means when they face the real situation, they can do anything. First, they should know the current reality. We do not know anything about that. And then, but if we keep thinking always, our imagination capacity increased gradually. When we talk with friends, talk with family members, again increased. What we should do is to keep thinking, talking, then gradually increase.
Sure.
Don't stop.
Sure.
Don't give up
Sure.
thinking.
Well, that sounds like a very practical approach.